Alright guys, welcome to another episode of Mtg Steam Brewery. This is going to be our last standard deck for a little bit. We want to wait till all of the spoilers are done so we can, see all the cards, maybe proxy up some things, build some interesting standard decks for you guys. So this is kind of something I built right before spoilers, so this is going to be our last standard deck tech, and then we're going to try and do some modern videos in between till, all the spoilers are done, the pre-release happens, get our hands on some cards, and proxy up what we don't have. So, here we go. In our 5-color ramp deck, we have one Xangos, the Reveler. His +1's actually really relevant in this deck, making a bunch of mana because we have so many high-end 7 Primordials, Angel Serenities, Sphinx Revelations. He's done a lot. His 0 is also very efficient. Just in a lot of matchups, being able to make 2/2 is going to be very relevant. So he's really solid in this deck. We also have 2 Kiora. Her -1 is so important for this deck, being able to play, like, turn 4, play her, -1, draw a card, play a Scry land, top or bottom of the card, and if we get Chorus of Prefix in play and then curve into this with like Shock lands or ramping with 7 Caryatids, it's just really silly. Like the turn 2 Caryatid, turn 3 Courser, turn 4 Scry land, put card on bottom, Kiora, draw card, Scry again is very good, puts us very far ahead, so she's very, very good in this deck, and her ultimate does happen a lot more than I thought it would, so that's also a nice plus. We also have 1 Angel Serenity and 2 Sin Primordial. Sun Primordial blows up Planeswalkers, Detention Spheres. It's not too hard for us to ramp into just like Sun Primordial, Chromatic Lantern, play him on turn 5. He does a lot of work on turn 5. He's also 6/8 with reach, so he blocks Stormwrath Dragons, blocks pretty much everything in the format that I can think of off the top of my head that sees play, and he also does get a land, which sometimes is relevant. Also, the Angel Serenity's so good against a lot of the creature decks running around, very against the green-black dredge deck. Not really to take creatures out of play, though sometimes it happens. It's more take cards out of the graveyard. So a very solid card in what I expect of green-black dredge being very popular. We also have 3 Chromatic Core, our main threat. Playing him on turn 5 doesn't happen every game, but it happens quite a bit. Can win a lot of games just slamming a 4/4. Flying, First Strike, Vigilance, Trample, Lifelink is on turn 5. It's going to be really good. Plus, bestowing them on any of our threats in the deck is going to be really good. I've even had games where I've just bestowed them on a Satyr from a Xangos or on an Assemble Legion token and just gone to work from there. 1 Prognostic Sphinx, very good. We don't really want Aetherling in this deck as we are 5 colors. Even if we do draw Chromatic Lantern, we can't really rely on that. So we wanted something that could scry excess non-scry lands to the bottom and could help us find our threats and win conditions. So very, very solid in this deck. And being able to gain Hexproof, very relevant, especially if we have Chromatic Core and bestow it onto it. It's going to do some silly things being able to gain Hexproof. 2 Courser of Corfix and 4 Sylvan Caryatid as the last of our creatures. Courser of Corfix, just being able to look at the top card allows us to play our lands in the correct sequences for what we're drawing. Being able to play Scry lands off the top, as there are 12 Scry lands in this deck, is going to be very important. And gaining life is going to be very relevant for the aggressive matchup, which the way my main deck's configured is not our best matchup. It's not terrible, and he also has 4 toughness, so he's also extremely good in those matchups. And the 4 Sim Caryatid, they tap for any color mana. They come down on turn 2, and they have 3 toughness, and they're hexproof. Very self-explanatory, very important for our deck. Then we go to 2 Assemble Legion, our other 2 win conditions in our main deck, other than the ones you've seen. This game really just wants to grind out the win if it can't kill you with like a Chromatic Core or something bestowed with Chromatic Core. It wants to close out the game, and this allows us just to close out the game as the game goes longer. 4 Detention Sphere, just one of the best catch-alls in Standard. It was far too good not to play in the 5-color deck, being 1 white, 1 blue, very easy to cast. So just our all-around removal spell. 2 Guild, once again, ramping is important, and the fact that this exiles creatures can be relevant. And the fact that it exile anything can be very relevant, because it hits Stormwrath Dragons. Say we go up against another Sun Primordial deck, like the Rug Monsters deck, or like just any other kind of fatties people are playing in Standard. It's just going to exile them, and we get a mana out of it, so it's very good. 2 Supreme Verdicts. We do want a Sweeper. White or blue can be hard to cast sometimes, but we do have 7 Caryatids and Chromatic Lanterns to help get us there, and we just needed some way to clear the board. So we needed 2 Supreme Verdicts in our main deck. We have 1 Maze of Mortars, 1 Dreadbore in our 2-drop slot, as my meta is a lot of Monsters decks, like the Jund Monsters decks with bunch removal and Mono Black. We're not really in the biggest rush to kill things other than a Pack Rat on turn 2, and our deck can relatively outrace pack rat just by bestowing Chromatic Ore or playing a Chromatic Ore onto something, especially if it's prognostic Sphinx bestowed on that, and the game is probably going to end before they can kill us. Then we also have 3 Sphinx Revelations, just one of the best spells in Standard. Just drawing so many cards, especially when we're ramping into it, is going to close out a lot of games. And then we got one Abrupt Decay as a last removal spell. Another 2-drop removal spell, hits a lot of things early. It also blows up Detention Spheres, which can be relevant, as much of our threats are, other than like Prognostic Sphinx, are despherable. It also kills Pack Rat, which can be a very big deal. And then when 3 Chromatic Lantern is our last spell in the deck, it just makes our mana perfect. And then we have a 5-color mana base. We have 2 Stormground, 1 Temple of Abandon, 4 Breeding Pool, 1 Temple of Mystery, 1 Watery Grave, 1 Temple of Deceit, 1 Temple of... I'm sorry, guys. 1 Temple of Malice, 1 Sacred Foundry, 3 Temple of Triumph, 2 Godless Shrine, 3 Temple of Silence, 1 Overgrown Tomb, 10 Temple Garden, 2 Temple of Plenty. And that is our main deck. It's a very fun deck. I stopped playing Junker Animator to play this deck solely because Green-Black Dread is getting popular, and people in my meta are starting to sideboard things like Crypt Incursion and Rakdos Charm, which makes that deck considerably less consistent and much worse. So this is my current standard deck I'm messing around with. I hope you like it, and I'll see you in a second for the sideboard. Welcome back to our sideboard. I've organized my sideboard like I normally do, but coincidentally, it's just kind of how it's supposed to be. The top rows normally come in against all the control decks, and the bottom row comes in against the aggro decks. So I'm just going to go over these cards really quickly. We have 3 Planeswalkers, Jace Memory Adept, Vraska the Unseen, and Ashiok Nightmare Weaver, just as more threats against the control deck, as we don't really need that much removal against them. Detention Spheres will stay in, maybe the Dreadbore, and we do need to take out all those removal spells, and things that just don't do anything against them, for spells that are relevant, like Planeswalkers. And all of these cards can end a game against control deck, as well as having their own versatility against other decks. So we just wanted those in our sideboard. We have 3 Ashen Riders, really good against control, hits Detention Sphere and Planeswalkers, but mainly in my sideboard, once again, Green-Black Dredge's thing, but Maze's End has started to pick up. Like, a few people have picked it up in my meta, and since that matchup is just so bad, I actually had to have something to beat it, because a lot of people in that meta can't really beat it. So there's a good chance I might have to go up against them if I'm at the top tables. So Ashen Rider, just, being able to hit Maze's End is going to be a huge deal, as I can Detention for the rest of their threats. So Ashen Rider is in there as a 3-of for the control and Maze's End matchup. 1 Reap Intellect and 2 Rakdos Return, very good in the control matchups. Reap Intellect, being able to just tap out for it even on 1 or 2 is going to be really good against control deck. Just like hitting a counterspell is going to shift the game in a really big way, especially if it's just like the 4 of Dissolve. Rakdos Return clears out hands, shoots Planeswalkers, just really solid card. Starting to see more play in Standard, as it should be. Then we just have a lot of 2-drop removal. Turnburn also is able to answer gods and just other bigger creatures for 5 mana, while also still being able to kill things at 2 mana. So it's just really good. 1 Alternate Price, 1 Doomblade, 2 Devour Flesh, and Abrupt Decay as the rest of our 2-drop move spells. Abrupt Decay also does hit Detention Spheres. So there's our sideboard. I did do an article of this on mtgbrodeals.com. We will not have a verse video this week. I am sorry about that, guys. We just don't have all of our standard cards together. A lot of them are being lent out to people as they're going to tournaments, so we're just helping some of the newer players out by lending them cards until they can get them themselves. Hope to see you guys for our upcoming Modern videos. We're very excited to do those. And goodbye. Have a good day.